How's it going, everyone? Welcome into the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. My name is Kyle Yates. I'll be with you for the next hour answering your start sit questions as we get ready for kickoff here. Before we get going into that, I've got some things that we need to talk about, of course. We will be going through the players who have been ruled out for today's games, the game time decisions, and the fantasy implications of all of those. But then, of course, I've got to say, if you are watching this and you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, take the 2 seconds out of your day to just go right here, right below, and hit that subscribe button. Helps us out in a huge way. Hit the like button on this video too. Again, helps us out in a huge way. And you can find and follow me on Twitter at KyleYNFL and also over on Instagram at KyleYNFL. Let's go through some of the inactives and the players who have been ruled out, expected to play, all of that. And of course, I will give the fantasy implications here. So the first, a lot of big players ruled out for this game. For these games. Not only are we dealing with bye weeks, but we also have to deal with some big players here, especially at the running back position, who have been ruled out. And of course, it starts with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, the Green Bay Packers running back, is ruled out for this game. Now, the fantasy implication here is that Jamal Williams looks like a smash play in a game that is going to have some insane weather. I expect the Packers to do their best to keep the ball on the ground. So this means that Jamal Williams moves up to a top 6 play for me. He is at RB6 in half PPR formats. Of course, whenever I give my rankings, they are all in half PPR formats. So he absolutely belongs in your starting lineup this week against a very average, I'll be kind there, Vikings defense. So Jamal Williams looks like he's in a smash spot. I would get him into your lineup. Of course, then we have to talk about Miles Sanders, the running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. He is ruled out for this game in what should have been a fantastic opportunity for him. We now turn to Boston Scott and Corey Clement to lead this backfield. Boston Scott is a top 12 running back for me. He slides just inside that range. So he does belong in your starting lineup. I think he is in an excellent spot, and I expect the Philadelphia Eagles to go up big in this one and to just continue to keep their foot on the gas. Division rival, this is a get-right game for the Eagles. Of course, we have some other players that are coming back healthy for the Eagles, which we'll talk about, but Boston Scott, with his work out of the backfield, his opportunity to score in this one, absolutely belongs in your starting lineup. Michael Thomas ruled out for this game along with Emmanuel Sanders and Marquez Callaway. So now you were looking at a Saints wide receiver core of Traquan Smith, Deontay Harris, and Austin Carr, I believe, are the 3 wide receivers here for New Orleans, up against one of the best pass defenses in the league in Chicago, with a very cold and breezy, windy weather here in Chicago. This is just a game to avoid the Saints passing game if you can. I'm looking at Jared Cook, and I'm looking at Alvin Kamara, and actually Latavius Murray does boost up pretty high in my rankings here, relatively high, excuse me. So because of, I expect the Saints to try to stay away from the passing game, and the Bears can be exploited through the run. So Latavius Murray should see enough work here to be a high-end RB3, but Alvin Kamara is a top 2 running back in my opinion. Jeff Wilson, the running back for the San Francisco 49ers, he is ruled out. We are looking now at a backfield of Tevin Coleman, who is back this week, JaMycal Hasty, and Jerick McKinnon. I'm staying far away from Jerick McKinnon if I can. I do not expect him to be involved in this game plan at all, which, knowing Kyle Shanahan, means that Jerick McKinnon's about to get 20 touches. So this is just a backfield if you want to avoid. If I am forced to play one of them, I will be playing Tevin Coleman. Julian Edelman, the wide receiver for the New England Patriots, he is on IR, or expected to be on IR if he has not been put on IR already, with a knee issue that popped up, had surgery. He wasn't someone that you were trusting for fantasy purposes anyway, so he's out of your lineup and most likely can just be dropped if you need to make a waiver pickup. Rashad Perryman, you weren't looking at him. Mark Ingram, the running back for the Baltimore Ravens, has been ruled out. It is expected that he is going to miss next week as well. J.K. Dobbins is the next guy up here, and I'm actually plugging in J.K. Dobbins as a low-end RB2 into some of my lineups this week, mostly because of necessity. But yet, at the same time, he has a talent to be able to be a top-end contributor. It's a very, very tough matchup here, so that's why he gets a little bit of a downgrade. If he were going up against a poor run defense, then that would be something where I'd consider him as a top 15 option. Gus Edwards is also someone that you can roll in to your lineup if you're in an absolute pinch, but you're betting on him getting, his closing, significant touches that he gets. I just don't want to gamble with that. But again, if you're in a pinch, he should be someone that you can look at. Sammy Watkins, again, ruled out for this one. Jamison Crowder ruled out for this one. So this boosts up Braxton Berrios in a game where the Jets are going to be losing from the opening kickoff to the Kansas City Chiefs. if you need a fill-in option as a low-end wide receiver 3 flex play in full PPR formats, Braxton Berrios can be ruled into your lineup. Denzel Mims is a flex play at best. Deebo Samuel ruled out for this one. Brandon Ayuk in a smash spot. I have him as a top 20 wide receiver this week. N'Keal Harry, again for the New England Patriots, ruled out. You are now looking at a wide receiver core of Jacoby Myers, Gunnar Olszewski, I think is how you pronounce his last name, and Damiere Byrd are the 3 starting wide receivers here for the New England Patriots, with Cam Newton looking just absolutely horrific recently as a passer. So this is a game that, Jacoby Myers ends up as just inside my top 40 wide receivers. Just kind of speaks to the wide receiver landscape right now. You can plug him in if you're absolutely desperate. He's available on waivers, I guarantee it. But, man, I just would prefer to stay away from this offense entirely if you can. Alshon Jeffrey, surprise, surprise, he's ruled out. Austin Hooper, another week being out after his appendicitis surgery. Harrison Bryant is a streaming tight end for me. You can roll him in. He lands at like tight end 15 or 16 in my rankings. Andy Dalton, we are now going to see Ben DiNucci on Sunday Night Football. This is gross. I just don't want to invest in any of these Dallas pass catchers this week. Amari Cooper is the only one that I'm looking at as a low-end wide receiver 2. I am looking at some settings here really quick, guys. Excuse me. Okay, sorry, guys. Okay, so then Joe Mixon, of course, the running back for the Cincinnati Bengals, he is ruled out for this one. Giovanni Bernard becomes a top 11 play for me. He lands at RB11 in half PPR scoring. With the weather here expected to be a little bit, seeing messages come through just about some of the buffering, guys, so forgive me here. With the weather in the Cincinnati-Tennessee game, expected to be a little bit windy. I went in and projected the rush attempts to come up just a little bit here for Cincinnati. This boosts Giovanni Bernard up to a top 12 player. I think you can absolutely plug him into your lineup as a solid option this week. Deshaun Jackson on IR. Zach Ertz on IR. Raheem Mostert on IR. Austin Eckler out. Nick Chubb out. Sony Michel out. I mentioned Emmanuel Sanders and Marquez Callaway. Chris Godwin is out for this one. Scotty Miller he got the green light to be active for this next game. So Scotty Miller is just inside my top 36 wide receivers. I think you can plug him into your lineup if you're in a pinch. And then Devontae Freeman, Wayne Gallman is going to get the start here. Terrible, terrible, terrible matchup. And I am in no way recommending that you start Wayne Gallman. However, I know that a lot of people are in a pinch and you need another running back. Wayne Gallman looked fine as a receiver out of the backfield last week. So if you need someone who can give you a safe floor, I think Wayne Gallman, but again, he's a high-end RB3 in my rankings, not really looking his way. Carlos Hyde is not expected to play here. This is a very, very weird situation with the Seattle Seahawks running backs. We'll talk about the other two in just a second, but Carlos Hyde is not expected to play. Get him out of your lineup if he still is there. Dalvin Cook is expected to play. He's a top 4 option for me in a game that is going to see winds up to 50 miles per hour. I expect the Vikings to lean on their run game as much as they possibly can. So Dalvin Cook is in a smash spot. Mo Alley Cox, you're not looking his way. The tight end for the Indianapolis Colts. Mason Crosby for those who still play with kickers in your fantasy leagues. Allen Robinson did not practice all week. Cleared concussion protocol. He is expected to play in this one. He's a fine option, but again, bad weather. He's a high-end wide receiver 2 for me this week. Phillip Lindsay is expected to play. He is a low-end RB3 for me. If you need a running back option, he's most likely available. You can pick him up and plug him in. Tyler Higbee is expected to play. This puts a damper on those who are looking at Gerald Everett. I wouldn't go anywhere near both of them. And then Damian Harris and Frank Gore are both expected to play. I really wouldn't be looking their way either. Let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Chris Carson, true 50-50 chance that he plays in this game. Travis Homer, game time decision as well. We know that Carlos Hyde is expected to be out of the picture. So now it is DJ Dallas, Chris Carson, and Travis Homer. In this situation, I'm not looking Travis Homer's way at all. Even if he is active, I'm really not going to be able to trust him. He would be, if we got news, like if we just said, okay, right now I get an alert and it says that Chris Carson is not going to play this game, Travis Homer would probably be a low-end RB3 in my rankings, maybe even a flex play. He's not someone that I'm really excited to plug into my lineup. DJ Dallas in a full PPR format as a flex option or desperation dart throw. Chris Carson, I am expecting him to play. With this being the 4:25 game or a late afternoon game, man, I have him at RB30 in my rankings right now, and it's kind of hedging, and it's just kind of saying because lineups lock or the accuracy competition locks at 1, and obviously you have to make your decision. So if you have a secondary option that's playing on Sunday night or on Monday, then you can still just push that decision back a little bit here. But even if Chris Carson plays, I don't know if he's going to be his full self. So if you have another option, I would recommend going with them. Again, Chris Carson is at RB30 in my rankings. I'm not really super excited about him, even if he does suit up. There's always a possibility that you have your running backs that play at 1, and then you're expecting Chris Carson to play, and then he doesn't suit up. He tests his ankle in pre-games, and he is declared inactive, and then you're kind of, up a creek without a paddle. So I would recommend going with your secondary options. All right, let's get into some of your questions here. We've got a ton of them, so I want to make sure that we get through them. Let's go with Shane asking Josh Jacobs, Kareem Hunt, Boston Scott, or Jonathan Taylor. I'm starting 3 of them. So essentially sitting 1. Shane, I would be sitting Boston Scott in this situation. We just got news that Trent Brown, the offensive tackle for Las Vegas, is inactive for this one. Had an issue with some illness, non-COVID related. So that just popped up. So I've downgraded Jacobs slightly, but to RB9. I have Hunt as a top 3 option, and I have Jonathan Taylor at 7 in my rankings. So I think Scott is the odd man out here, but that's a really, really tough decision. They're all top 12 options. So if you want to, bet on or, take that injury to Trent Brown, who is just a huge part of their running game, being a massive human being, then I think that's a situation where you can take that and you can make that decision and say, I'll sit Josh Jacobs in favor of Boston Scott. But my rankings say sit Boston Scott in that situation. Crystal asks, should I stick with Jonnu Smith this week or pick up either Evan Ingram or Harrison Bryant and start them today in a standard league? I'm still sticking with Jonnu Smith. The weather is not great, but yet at the same time, I think Jonnu in a fantastic matchup. There are very few matchups in the NFL that are better for opposing tight ends. So from a fantasy perspective, so I'm sticking with Jonnu Smith and just betting on the fact that they're going to get this right. Jonnu Smith is still seeing end zone targets when they're, at the goal line. Derrick Henry should get them into the red zone repeatedly in this game. I have him as my overall number 1 running back this week. So they should get him into the red zone. They should look to get Jonnu Smith a little bit more involved than what they did last week. I think that was a game planning with them Pittsburgh trying to take away Jonnu as much as they could. So Cincinnati's not going to be able to do that. I still recommend that you play Jonnu Smith. I have him at tight end 6 in my rankings. Evan Ingram at tight end 20. And Harrison Bryant at tight end 16 off the top of my head. Gesicki or Goddard in a PPR league. I'm going to play Goddard here. Goddard obviously coming back off of IR. We don't know his full health status. We don't know if he's going to be playing his full allotment of snaps, but yet in comparison to Gesicki, who has been so hit or miss this season, and now we have the unknowns of a rookie quarterback stepping in week 1 against a very good defense with the LA Rams. What's the range of outcomes here with Gesicki? I want to play it a little bit more safe, and I think Goddard is that safe option. So I said this on, I believe, the Friday podcast with Dan. I said, I'm fine missing on Mike Gesicki. Like, I'm fine letting someone else roll the dice, and if he breaks away a long play, then he breaks away a long play. But Goddard, I'm going to lean into the matchup here against Dallas, and I'm going to lean into the opportunity in this offense with all the injuries around. Yes, you're getting Jalen Reagor back this week. Yes, you're getting, Travis Fulgham should have a monstrous game. But yet at the same time, you have an opportunity here for Goddard. I'm going to roll with Goddard. I need a QB stream this week. I have Derek Carr, but considering Stafford or I'm assuming that's Rivers. Nick, I would be playing Carr still in this one. I have Carr just outside my top 12 QBs on the week. I have Stafford a little bit further down. And then Rivers is never someone that you should look at for a 1 quarterback league. So in this one, I think that I'm fine going with Derek Carr. We've seen him perform really, really well recently. He's actually been playing really, really well. So in this matchup, I'm fine rolling with Derek Carr. Deontay Johnson or Robert Woods. I will go with Deontay Johnson there. Even though it's a tough matchup, I'm leaning into his target totals and target volume. With Miami, I don't know if the Rams are going to need to throw the ball a ton. And if that's the case, then Robert Woods has a very limited ceiling. Goddard or Burton, very close in my rankings. I am going to say that I'll go with Trey Burton with the matchup, his involvement in the offense, but Goddard could easily outperform him. I'm looking at it now. Again, I have them back to back. So I've Goddard at 11 in my tight end rankings, and I have Trey Burton at 12. So if you want to go with Goddard, I'm not going to fault you. That's what my rankings say. However, as far as like the boom potential here for Dallas Goedert is much greater than Trey Burton. Burton has a solid floor. He's going to be involved. He's going to see his 5-6 targets. So he's not going to goose you. But yet, Dallas Goedert has an extremely high ceiling. So if you're projected to lose by a ton, then I would play Goddard. If you just need that safe floor, you need to know that you're going to get your guaranteed points, then I would go with Trey Burton. 6 point per touchdown and 1 point per completion, Tannehill or Wentz. I'm going to go Wentz here. I actually have Wentz as a top 4 option this week. Tannehill gets a slight bump down with the weather issue concerns in Cincinnati and Tennessee. So I think with regardless, I would be playing Wentz here. Again, I mentioned it that you have the concerns that Philadelphia goes up big and then they just run the ball. But yet, I think with the way Philly has been looked at, the way that Philly is feeling on offense, how stagnant they've been, like they've got some pieces back this week. I think they're going to keep their foot on the gas. And if that's the case, Wentz is in for a huge day. Stafford or Carr in the wind, I'll still play Carr there. That was from Mike Wright that threw me off for a second. Full PPR flex, Bell, Murray, or Dallas. I will be playing Le'Veon Bell here. Obviously, we have the narrative of a revenge game and that he's going to be, want to be involved around the goal line in a game where they are favored. Last I checked at 19.5 points, which is just stupid. I think that Le'Veon Bell is going to see plenty of opportunities here. I have Bell just inside my top 24 running backs in the week, and then I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire as a top 10 option. So both should see plenty of work, and I really, really think that Le'Veon Bell has a great chance of finding the end zone. Flex Pirine or Higgins. I will be flexing Rashard Higgins there. Oh, I guess is that T. Higgins or Rashard Higgins? Either way, I'm going to go with the wide receivers. If it's T. Higgins, I like him a whole lot more than Rashard Higgins. Samuel asks, I have David Montgomery as a flex and an empty spot on the roster. Do I put someone else in the flex? I have David Montgomery as a flex and an empty spot on the roster. No, you played David Montgomery. Montgomery or Devontae Parker is your next question there, Samuel. So I'm just gonna answer that one. I will be playing Montgomery. We just don't know with Devontae Parker. Is Tua gonna lock onto him? Is he gonna lock onto Preston Williams? Is he gonna feature Mike Gesicki? Where is Tua gonna put the ball? Is he gonna be looking to check down to Myles Gaskin out of the backfield? There are just a wide range of outcomes here. So with David Montgomery, we know that he doesn't have a huge ceiling. He's not going to break away a big play for a touchdown, but he is going to see his 5 to 6 targets. He might reel in all of them. He's going to get a ton of work in a game where I expect Chicago to try to lean on the run game. The key word being there, try, with the weather concerns. So I'm going to go Montgomery here just because I know what he's going to be. Parker could leave me with 3 targets, 2 catches for, 25 yards and 0 score, no touchdowns. So I'll go with Montgomery. Standard League, Fulgham, Marquise Brown, or T. Higgins. I'm playing Travis Fulgham. I have Fulgham just outside my top 12 wide receivers this week. I think this is a smash spot for him. I'm super excited about him in this matchup. I think that Wentz is going to look his way repeatedly, and he has an excellent chance of finding the end zone. In a full PPR, Zach Moss or Denzel Mims at the flex. I will go with Zach Moss there. But I'm not super excited. Again, it's a flex play. So I think with Denzel Mims, there's really not much of a ceiling here. This is a very good pass defense in Kansas City. Sam Darnold, looks to the slot receiver more, which is why I like Braxton Berrios a little bit more than Mims. But it's all in context. I'm not sitting there, saying, hey, let's go fire up Braxton Berrios as a top 24 wide receiver. So I'll go with Zach Moss. He's seen his snaps increase every single week. And then we've seen Devin Singletary's decrease every single week. That's another thing. If you have Devin Singletary in your lineup, I would recommend getting him out. Flex T. Higgins or Myles Gaskin. I will go with Myles Gaskin if I need a safe floor, because I know that he's going to get work out of the backfield and obviously as a runner between the tackles. But then T. Higgins has a huge ceiling in this matchup, assuming that he can find the end zone and the weather cooperates. Full PPR, Boyd or James Conner. considering the weather, I will go still with Tyler Boyd. Great matchup here as far as the slot corner for the Titans. I think his name's Chris Jackson. Not a great, he's not going to be able to slow down Tyler Boyd. And with him being the slot receiver, you're looking at some short area targets. You're looking at getting the ball out quick for Joe Burrow. And then, of course, he can be utilized deep downfield too. So, but with James Conner, very, very tough matchup. I have him a little bit further down in my rankings. I have him at running back 15, I think. So I'll go with Tyler Boyd here. I think he has more of a ceiling. Full PPR pick 2, Allen Robinson, Justin Jefferson, or Deontay Johnson. I'm going to roll with my rankings and what I feel most. I'm downgrading Justin Jefferson because of the weather and because he's utilized deep downfield. And with winds up to 50 miles per hour, like Kirk Cousins doesn't have as strong of an arm as Patrick Mahomes. Newsflash. So that ball is going to be wavering. I don't know if it's going to reach where Jefferson can get downfield. So, and I think that they're going to try to lean on the run game as much as they can. So again, I still think that you can start Justin Jefferson. I have him as just inside my top 24 wide receivers. I have Adam Thielen just inside my top 15, but yet, because of their chance to find the end zone, but yet, when you're looking at the range of outcomes here, I'm going to lean into the target totals with Deontay Johnson and Allen Robinson versus, Justin Jefferson here. So, yeah, I'll go with A-Rob and Deontay Johnson. Nick asks, Hollywood Brown or Deontay Johnson in a standard league? I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson. Hollywood Brown, of course, has the potential to break away that big play and prove me wrong, but yet, I have said this all season long that Hollywood Brown is a wide receiver 3 every single week in my rankings because of his wide range of outcomes. He can give you, break away that big play, and he can single-handedly win you a week. We haven't seen that yet this year, though. That happened a lot last year. But then he has an extremely low floor. So I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson, lean into the target volume. But I don't think he has as much of a ceiling in this matchup against the Baltimore Corners. Standard League, 2 out of 3, T. Higgins, Allen Robinson, and Deontay Johnson. I will go with Allen Robinson and Deontay Johnson there. T. Higgins just inside my top 24 wide receivers. Still like him, but I'm going to roll with Robinson and Deontay Johnson. A.J. Brown or Keenan Allen? Great question. These guys are both absolute must-start options for me, so it's a very tough call. I have Keenan Allen all the way up at 3 this week, guys. I think that he is... With his target volume in this matchup, I think that Keenan Allen is an absolute smash play. I have A.J. Brown at 6. So, again, you're deciding between 2 top 6 wide receivers in my rankings. So, these guys are both really, really solid. News just broke on Chris Godwin. Okay, so before Adam Schefter just tweeted out, before Chris Godwin had the surgery on his finger, doctors told the Buccaneers that the Pro Bowl wide receiver would be sidelined 4 to 6 weeks. According to a source, now he's week to week, and he has a 50-50 shot to play against the Saints next week. Okay, I saw the 4 to 6 weeks, and I panicked. All right, let's go to... so I will, back to your question, Bill, I will play Keenan Allen there in that situation, but, man, Allen brings such a safe floor because of his target volume. A.J. Brown... I don't think he's going to see a ton of deep targets with the weather, but yet he can always take a slant and take it to the house. We saw that last week. So I think both are phenomenal plays, but I will be playing Keenan Allen in that situation. Lamar Jackson or Carson Wentz? I will go with Carson Wentz here. Lamar Jackson, I expect to struggle as a passer in this matchup with the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So I think he can get back to running the ball more, but yet we just haven't seen the big blow-up performances here from Lamar Jackson. We've seen them try to cut back his rushing volume. Yes, he's still bringing a safe floor every single week, but yet there hasn't been the boom games that we've come to know from Lamar. So Carson Wentz in this matchup, I've talked about him. I have him at 4. I have Lamar Jackson at 8, I believe. So there's a fair gap there between the two of them. I have Lamar Jackson at 9 and Carson Wentz at 3. So that gap got even bigger. So yeah, I will go with Carson Wentz there. All right. Let's find some more questions here. Wentz or Breeze? Justin asks, I will obviously go with Carson Wentz there, and that's not even close. Devontae Parker or Cooper Kupp? I will play Cooper Kupp. Again, I don't think he has much of a ceiling in this game where I expect Henderson to have a big game. The Rams just continue to run the ball down Miami's throat, but yet I think that Devontae Parker has just such a wide range of outcomes. I've talked about him that I don't know if I feel comfortable betting on that. All right, full PPR. Galladay, Ayuk, and Deontay Johnson. So picking one out of those, I will go with Kenny Galladay. Fant or Goddard, I will go with Noah Fant in that situation. Boyd or Fulgham, I will go with Fulgham. Gaskin or Henderson in a full PPR. Tasha asks, I will go with Myles Gaskin due to his work out of the backfield as a receiver. Start Deontay Johnson or Justin Jefferson. I will play Deontay Johnson in that situation with the weather concerns. It would have been flipped. I would have played Justin Jefferson if the weather was fine in Green Bay. Full PPR, one wide receiver, Deontay Johnson or Mike Evans. I will play... I think my rankings have... It's super close. And whenever I have that where I don't have a true conviction, I'm going to go to my rankings because it leans into my process of projections and everything. I have Mike Evans at 15. I have Deontay Johnson at 16. So I think Evans has more of a ceiling in this one. Deontay Johnson is more of a safe floor, if that makes sense. So whichever one that you need there. If you need the ceiling play, go with Mike Evans. If you need the safe floor, go with Deontay Johnson. And then you ask the flex, Zeke, Deontay, or Mike Evans. In that situation, I will then play Deontay Johnson. Spoiler alert, I have Ezekiel Elliott way down in my rankings. Very, 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 very off of him compared to ECR. Last I checked, ECR, Expert Consensus Rankings, has him at 8. I have him at 17 this week, guys. So I am not looking to play Ezekiel Elliott in a game where the Cowboys are going to be led by Ben DiNucci against a very, very stout Philadelphia Eagles defensive line and then a very banged up Cowboys offensive line. I don't think it is going to work out. We've seen Zeke continue to fumble the ball. The past 2 weeks, Zeke has finished as the RB35 exactly both weeks. Not looking to plug him into my lineup if I can avoid it. I think that he can still bring you a safe floor with his work out of the backfield as a receiver, but yet how many plays is this offense going to run? And there's going to be very little scoring opportunity here. So, man, I'm just not looking to start Ezekiel Elliott if I can. Devontae Parker or A.J. Green. I will play A.J. Green in that situation, actually. Mike Williams, Jarvis Landry, or Phillip Lindsay. I will play Jarvis Landry. Full PPR, Corey Davis or Leonard Fournette. I will play Leonard Fournette. He is now assuming the work as the receiver out of the backfield here, and there's always the chance that he takes over this backfield. We see Ronald Jones drop another pass or whatever. Again, Ronald Jones, 4 drops on 26 targets per PFF this year. Not great, so I will play Leonard Fournette in that situation, especially now that we have the weather concerns here with Corey Davis. He's going to have to find the end zone. All right. PPR, sit one. Allen Robinson, Boston Scott, Travis Fulgham, or Cooper Kupp. I will sit Cooper Kupp in that situation. Again, I've talked about how much I like Boston Scott and Travis Fulgham. And then Allen Robinson in this matchup, too. Will be lining up against Marshawn Lattimore, but Marshawn Lattimore has not been himself this year. And what we've come to know him as far as a lockdown corner, he's actually been beaten pretty bad. So I will play Allen Robinson even with no practice this week. I think that he can finish higher than Cooper Kupp. Carr or Goff in a standard league, I will play Derek Carr, but that's actually not too far of a gap. I think I have Goff at 16 in my quarterback rankings, and let me pull this up exactly. I have Derek Carr at 14. I have Jared Goff at 16. So I will play Carr, but that's closer than I thought it was going to be. Half PPR, sit 2 of them. Ayuk, Boston Scott, Deontay Johnson, and Myles Gaskin. Tough. I will sit Myles Gaskin. My rankings say to go with Deontay Johnson. If I want the boom potential here, I will play Brandon Ayuk. I actually really like Brandon Ayuk this week. Again, I have him at wide receiver 20 in my rankings right now, and Deontay Johnson at 16, I think I said. So these guys are super close. Yeah, 20 and 16. It depends on what you need. If you need the safe floor, obviously go with Deontay Johnson because I think that he gives you that safe target volume. If you need the boom potential, you want to win your week, you need a win, this week, then go with Brandon Ayuk. Flex Jonnu or Montgomery. In a full PPR, I will flex Montgomery over Jonnu Smith. Just guaranteed volume with Jonnu. We just don't know. Even though it's a great matchup, the weather plays a part in this. Just with Montgomery, we know that he's going to get work. And so, especially in a full PPR, I think that he can see just single-handedly more targets than Jonnu Smith. Jonnu always has a chance to find the end zone, but yet Montgomery comes with that safe floor. And then pick 2 of Burrow, Brady, and Josh Allen. I will stick to my rankings, and I will play Tom Brady and Josh Allen. Getting John Brown back in the lineup this week and no Stephon Gilmore is huge for the Buffalo Bills offense. All right, let's find some more questions. Madison or DJ Dallas in a full PPR. Not excited about either one of them. Obviously, it comes with the potential that DJ Dallas is a starting running back. We get news that Travis Homer is declared inactive and Chris Carson. But I think that Minnesota is going to do their best to just run the ball in terrible weather. And you can't give every carry to Dalvin Cook. So Alexander Mattison in that situation, again, they're nothing more than flex plays for me, but Alexander Mattison would be the way that I would go. Herbert versus Allen. I will play Josh Allen there, but that is close. Justin Herbert is he's QB6 in my rankings this week. So I love Justin Herbert this week, but I will go with Josh Allen again against a Patriots defense that has been susceptible through the air and has now lost Stephon Gilmore. With lining up against Stephon Diggs, John Brown, who can stretch the field, and Cole Beasley underneath, I think that Josh Allen can get back to having a pretty decent day here. And of course, with his work in the running game as well. Ronald Jones or Jalen Reagor in a full PPR. In a full PPR, I will go with Jalen Reagor. I think that Ronald Jones has lost all of his work as a receiver out of the backfield, so he's more appealing in a standard league, but Jalen Reagor in a full PPR, again, the matchup here. And just for context, that's the first Jalen Reagor question that I've gotten. In a half PPR scoring, Jalen Reagor is wide receiver 34 in my rankings, just below Juju Smith-Schuster and right above John Brown. So I definitely think you can play Jalen Reagor this week. Again, have him as a top 36 option, but in that situation, in a full PPR, I will go with Jalen Reagor. I think they do their best to get the ball in his hand this week. Well, in his hands. Right. Fournette, Cooper, or AJ Green in a full PPR. Pick one of them. I will go with Leonard Fournette. I don't want to trust Amari Cooper. Again, I have him as wide receiver 23 or 24 in my rankings, but what happens if Ben DiNucci comes out here and doesn't throw a single touchdown and they don't only run 50 total plays? It's very it's very possible. And so if that's the case, then you're looking at a very limited ceiling here for Amari Cooper. I expect DiNucci to try and lock onto Cooper out of all the receivers, but yet, man, just not super excited about him. Fournette in a full PPR, we know that he's going to get the work out of the backfield, and in this matchup, too, he has an excellent chance of finding the end zone. So I think I'm going to go with Fournette there. Pick 2 of them, Justin Ass, Juju, Rashard Higgins, Chase Claypool, and Devontae Parker. I will play Rashard Higgins and Devontae Parker. Actually, they are back-to-back in my rankings. Devontae Parker at 28, Rashard Higgins at 29, and then Juju I have at 32, and then I have Claypool all the way down at 46. Not looking to plug in Claypool into my lineup in this matchup. Full PPR, Giovanni Bernard, Le'Veon Bell, Deontay Johnson. I will go with Giovanni Bernard there. Corey Davis or Jonnu at the flex. I will go with Jonnu. I think he has a better chance of finding the end zone, but it really is all going to come down to who scores. I think Jonnu has the better chance. Carr, Tua, or Mayfield. I will go with Derek Carr there. I am not looking to plug in Tua Tagovailoa in his first game against the Los Angeles Rams defense. I'm not looking to do it. He falls out just inside my top 24 quarterbacks on the week. Derek Carr I have at 14. Mayfield I have a little bit further down. He's someone that you can consider as a streamer, but with those 3, I will be playing Derek Carr. Baker Mayfield is 1 spot lower than Carr at 15. Start 2 in the flex, Cole Beasley, Sterling Shepard, and Dallas Goedert. I think I'm going to go with Sterling Shepard here. I'm not super crazy about him this week. I have him at 36 in my rankings, in that range as just inside as a low-end wide receiver 3. Dallas Goedert is the other one that I'm considering here. With Cole Beasley, he loses some of his appeal with John Brown coming back in the lineup. He can bring you a safe floor, but yet I think with Sterling Shepard, he can also provide that safe floor with a good opportunity to find the end zone. And then Dallas Goedert brings you the boom potential with the matchup. So I'll stack it with Sterling Shepard and Dallas Goedert, going with the safe floor, and then Goddard with the boom potential. Banged up Carson, if he's active, or Tevin Coleman. Great question. These guys are in the same range for me because Looking at Chris Carson, again, we just don't know. And with Tevin Coleman, I think I'm going to go Tevin Coleman here. I'm going to play it safe. I'm just going to go with Tevin Coleman. I'm not expecting great things from him, but yet, in comparison with Chris Carson, I think you just need to play it safe. And even if he does play, we just don't know what he's going to be like. He hasn't practiced all week. We just don't know what his ankle's like. He could leave halfway through the game. He could re-injure that ankle if someone lands on it. I'll just go with Tevin Coleman, but I'm not super excited about either one of them. Giovanni Bernard or Ronald Jones? I will go... Okay, so Will, you said Giovanni Bernard or Ronald Jones for the running back 2 behind Zeke. My rankings say to play Giovanni Bernard, obviously, and then I have Ronald Jones 1 spot above Ezekiel Elliott. So if you want to play Ronald Jones above Ezekiel Elliott, that is in a half PPR. Yeah, if you want to play Ronald Jones above Ezekiel Elliott, I'm not going to fault you here. I think that Ronald Jones can find the end zone, and I don't think Zeke can. I don't think he has the ceiling in this one. So Giovanni Bernard for sure. My advice would be to play Ronald Jones over Ezekiel Elliott after that. But if you want to, just continue to roll with the name, then go ahead and plug in Ezekiel Elliott. I'm not going to fault you. And you did ask after that, or bench Zeke from those 3. I would be benching Zeke personally. But it's close. Keith, hey Kyle, Cole Beasley, Sterling Shepard, Zach Moss, and Damian Harris. I have a 2 flex league. What 2 are the best in a full PPR? In a full PPR, you got to go with the receivers there. I'll go with Cole Beasley and Sterling Shepard. They should see targets. Cole Beasley essentially reels in all of them, every single one that he sees. So I think that you can. You can roll with Cole Beasley and Sterling Shepard in that situation. Amari Cooper or Rashard Higgins. I will go with Amari Cooper there. It's closer than it should be, right? Welcome to 2020, where we're talking about Amari Cooper and Rashard Higgins, and we're actually having a legitimate debate and asking that question. But I am going to go Amari Cooper there. I just think that with Rashard Higgins, there's too many unknowns. He certainly can finish higher if he finds the end zone, but yet in my rankings with my process, I do have Amari Cooper slightly above Rashard Higgins. Smith or TJ Hawkinson, I will go with Jonnu Smith. I have Hawkinson outside my top 12 tight ends this week. He's just outside there, but very, very tough matchup here against the Indianapolis Colts, who are only allowing 2.3 fantasy points on average to opposing tight ends. They are absolutely suffocating the position, and you do have Darius Leonard back this week. T. Higgins or Brandon Ayuk. Wendy asks, she's toss up. I know. I want to hear your opinion though. Both these guys are at 20 and 22 in my rankings, so both are extremely solid plays. I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk there and play the matchup, which is why he's at 20, and then I have Higgins at 22. So with Ayuk, I'm going to play the matchup against Seattle. I think that he is going to see the majority of the targets outside of George Kittle, obviously. But yet, with Ayuk, I think that he has a very, very solid chance of finding the end zone once, maybe even twice. So I will go with Ayuk, but I do really like T. Higgins too. All right. Giovanni Bernard or James Conner. I'm going to play Giovanni Bernard. Juju or CeeDee Lamb. I will play Juju Smith-Schuster. Giovanni Bernard or Boston Scott. Okay, I knew this question was going to come up. So these guys are at 11 and 12 in my rankings. I'm going to go with Giovanni Bernard here because I do. The only reason here is that if Tennessee is able to run the ball down the Bengals' throat, we see Derrick Henry just absolutely go off, which is very possible. It's why I have him ranked as my number 1 running back this week. If we see that narrative play out, then you're going to see Giovanni Bernard more involved as a receiver out of the backfield and in any sort of PPR scoring that only helps him, right? And then he's going to be the clear ball carrier, right, with Samaje Perine, the next guy up. Yeah, you're not giving the ball to Samaje Perine significantly. So with Boston Scott, though, the concern here is that Philadelphia goes up big. They then decide to run the clock, run the ball out. And at that point, then you could see Corey Clement start to factor in even more because Boston Scott isn't really someone that you want to give the ball to 20 times. So we could see Corey Clement factor in, which just limits Boston Scott's ceiling. That's narrative picking, and that is a very, very narrow gap. Like the projection totals here between Giovanni Bernard and Boston Scott, it's razor thin. So I will go with Giovanni Bernard because I think he has slightly higher of a ceiling, but again, just go with your gut there. I would personally be playing Giovanni Bernard. Tom Brady or Lamar Jackson sounds crazy. I'm going to play Tom Brady with the way he's playing recently. Lamar or Burrow. I have them at 9 and 10 in my rankings, with Lamar Jackson slightly ahead. If we didn't have the weather concerns in Tennessee, then that would be something that I'd say go with Joe Burrow. I think that Lamar brings a safer floor. Man, it's super close. I'm gonna change here right on the live stream. I'm gonna go Joe Burrow at 9, Lamar Jackson at 10. I'm gonna bump him down even further. I'm gonna say play Joe Burrow. Talked myself into it. Okay. Will Tua go off his first week? No, I don't think he will. Not with this receiving core against this defense. If he were playing a much easier defense, then that would be something I'd say, yeah, absolutely fire up Tua. But yet, not in his first game. I don't think that he's going to have like a monstrous performance. As far as the range of outcomes I would recommend sitting Tua. The Rams or the Chargers defense, I will be playing the Rams defense. But the Chargers are a good option too. Full PBR, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jonathan Taylor, or Allen Robinson in the flex this week. I am going to go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire with his work in the receiving game. Jonathan Taylor not as involved as a receiver, so Taylor could find the end zone multiple times in this one. But I think as far as the range of outcomes here, play it safe. Go with the guy who's getting the guaranteed work out of the backfield as a receiver and play Clyde Edwards-Helaire in a full PPR. Zeke or Montgomery, I'm going to go David Montgomery here. Damian Harris, Tevin Coleman, or James White. I will play Tevin Coleman in that situation. Actually, I'm going to play James White, excuse me. James White with no Julian Edelman, with no N'Keal Harry, and the other three receivers that they've got healthy. I think James White has a pretty big game here as far as being targeted out of the backfield, but limited ceiling. But in compared to the other ones, Brad, I will play James White there. Thielen, Boyd, or Diggs in a full PPR. I will be playing Stephon Diggs. Really like him this week. Would you start Cam over Carr with the weather issues there? I wouldn't. I'm still going to go with Derek Carr. Cam Newton, I just can't trust him right now. John Brown, Cole Beasley. I lost the question. It disappeared. Sorry, buddy. Ruggs or Claypool in a half PPR, starting Carr at quarterback. Ruggs or Claypool. I will play Henry Ruggs there. With the weather concerns, I was talking about this with Dan, I think it was the Friday podcast, saying like Las Vegas is utilizing Henry Ruggs differently than what we anticipated. With Ruggs, you could see all over his Alabama film that they would get him the ball, scheme touches behind the line of scrimmage, to jet sweeps, to slants, to, quick in-breaking routes. Like, they would get him the ball in his hands and just let his athleticism carry him. Like, take this ball to the house. And so I think in this one, you could see a little bit of an altered, game plan here for Henry Ruggs, where we see them start to get the ball in his hands a little bit more. But again, he's nothing more than a flex play for me. Chase Claypool in a very, very tough matchup. Based on what we saw last week, you can't feel confident plugging him into your lineup. So if it were a better matchup, I would probably be saying go for the potential here with Claypool. But against Baltimore, I'm not looking to play Chase Claypool. Full PBR, flex, pick 3, Allen Robinson, Deontay Johnson, Cooper Kupp, and James Conner. So sitting one of them, I will sit Cooper Kupp. Half PPR, wide receiver 3, Hilton or Judy. With Tim Patrick trending, towards not playing, I will play Jerry Judy there. Hilton is outside my top 60 wide receivers, with Michael Pittman coming back into the lineup. Pittman's not someone that you should be really looking at this week, though, but it's another thing burying T.Y. Hilton. Full PBR pick 2, Rashard Higgins, Sterling Shepard, and Nelson Aguilar. I will play Higgins and Shepard here. But if we get news that, and I haven't heard anything, I was looking at this right before we started recording, Bryan Edwards is still questionable for this game. So I haven't gotten any clarity here. So if Edwards is out and he's not playing for this game, then I think you can roll with Nelson Aguilar over Sterling Shepard, because I think Aguilar has a better chance of finding the end zone in his matchup. Rashard Higgins, I think, I love his matchup against Trayvon Mullen. But I just think that with Sterling Shepard, it all depends on if Bryan Edwards plays. Because then if Edwards plays, then you see Aguilar kind of go back to this gadget role, like this, part-time player. So, just keep an eye on that. Personally, right now, though, I would be playing Higgins and Sterling Shepard. Full PPR pick 2, Ronald Jones, David Montgomery, and Cooper Kupp. I will play in a full PPR. I will play David Montgomery for sure, and then I think I'll play Cooper Kupp. Here's the thing with David Montgomery. He's the RB16 in all of fantasy football since Tariq Cohen went down with his injury. Weeks 4 through 7, David Montgomery is the RB16. Now, it hasn't looked great. Obviously, I'm a Bears fan. I can say that. Like, it has not looked great, but yet he's still getting the job done. He's still seeing the work out of the backfield as a receiver. So I think that Montgomery is bringing you a safe enough floor, especially in a full PPR, that you can go with. Ronald Jones, he's lost this passing down work to Leonard Fournette, so I'm not looking his way. If it was a standard league, I'd probably be going Jones and Montgomery, but I am going to go with Kupp and Montgomery here in a full PPR. Tua Tagovailoa or Cam Newton. I will go with Cam Newton here. Again, not looking to start Tua Tagovailoa if I can avoid it. Newton has the potential that, they just run him into the ground, try to get his confidence back. Then in that situation, I think he has a higher ceiling, obviously. So I'll go with Newton. Jimmy Graham or Harrison Bryant. Both are in the same range for me. If you want to play Harrison Bryant, I'm not going to complain. I think that he has an excellent chance of finding the end zone yet again with Austin Hooper out. Pick one quarterback, Big Ben, Cam, or Carr. I will play Carr in this situation. Big Ben's pretty far down my rankings. I'm not really looking his way if I can avoid it. And then Cam, of course, comes with so many question marks. Derek Carr, the weather, of course, but yet I still think he can get enough done to return a top 15 value. Lamar or Herbert? I will play Herbert. Pick 2, full PPR, Deontay Johnson, Mike Evans, and Brandon Ayuk. I'm going to play Deontay Johnson and Mike Evans, but that would be very difficult to sit Brandon Ayuk. If you want to just swing for the fences, both, and go with Mike Evans and Brandon Ayuk, again, I've talked about Deontay Johnson a lot here. I don't think he has a super high ceiling, but he comes with a safe floor. I think that if you wanted to swing for the fences, you're projected to lose by a ton, you need to win this week. Then I will go with Mike Evans and Brandon Ayuk. Deontay Johnson or David Montgomery or Le'Veon Bell in a half PPR. I will go with Deontay Johnson here. Pick 3 and a half PPR, Malcolm Brown, John Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Williams, Devontae Parker. I will go with John Brown, Devontae Parker for sure, and I'll roll the dice on CeeDee Lamb. I don't want to start Malcolm Brown. I don't want to start Mike Williams, so CeeDee Lamb's the last one of that group, but he's outside wide receiver 3 range for me. Again, we're talking about Ben DiNucci, so full PPR pick 3, Jonathan Taylor, Travis Fulgham, James Conner, Giovanni Bernard. So sitting one of them. I will sit James Conner. Sounds crazy to say, but Giovanni Bernard I expect to be heavily involved. Jonathan Taylor has a great matchup. Travis Fulgham, I'm expecting to absolutely go off this week in this matchup, so I will sit James Conner. Full PPR need 2. One of them needs to be a running back. Gus Edwards, Latavius Murray, Jalen Reagor, Henry Ruggs, or Zach Moss. For the running back, I will play Latavius Murray. Again, he's a high-end RB3, but he slides in above Zach Moss and Gus Edwards. And then for the wide receiver, I will play Jalen Reagor. He slides in above Henry Ruggs and Edwards and Moss in my flex ranking. So I will play Latavius Murray and Jalen Reagor. Excuse me. Giovanni Bernard or Myles Gaskin. I will play Giovanni Bernard. Myles Gaskin just falls outside my top 12 running backs on the week. Dallas Goedert or Nelson Aguilar for my flex and half PPR. I'm going to go with Dallas Goedert here. We just don't know with Bryan Edwards. At least I can look it up, but we're getting close to kickoff here. So I will go with Dallas Goedert. Pick 1, Josh Allen or Tom Brady. I will play Josh Allen. Right. Boston Scott, Jamal Williams, Giovanni Bernard, full PPR, pick 2, or all 3 of them and sit Brandon Ayuk. In a full PPR, all 3 of those guys are top 12 running backs for me. Ayuk slides in at wide receiver 20. He has a high ceiling, but yet, man, I think if you can go in a full PPR with all these guys who are going to be heavily targeted out of the backfield, I would personally be playing all 3 running backs there. I think that's a smart strategy. LaMichael Pirine or Jerick McKinnon. I will be playing LaMichael Pirine in that situation. I'm not trusting Jerick McKinnon. Traquan Smith, Greg Ward, or Hunter Renfrow. I'll play Traquan Smith here in comparison with those 3. Not excited about Traquan Smith, but he has the best opportunity. Greg Ward, we don't know what his target volume is going to look like with Reagor, Goddard back in the lineup. And then Hunter Renfrow, he hasn't really done anything. He's more appealing when you have other options missing from this lineup. So I'll go with Tre'Quan Smith. Rodgers versus Minnesota in the wind, or Brady at the New York Giants tomorrow. I'll still play Rodgers here. It's a great point, though. Rodgers does get a bump down, but, man, I still think that he can succeed in this matchup. So I'm going to play Rodgers there. John Brown or Joshua Kelly in the flex. In a full PPR, I'll play John Brown. Who do I start? Coleman, Tre'Quan Smith, or Cole Beasley? I will play Tre'Quan Smith there. I think he's going to see targets. And with Beasley, just with John Brown back in the lineup, I can't trust him as anything more than a flex play in full PPR. And Coleman, can't trust him. So Tre'Quan Smith's the last remaining option there. All right. Goddard or Fant? I will go with Noah Fant. Allen Robinson, Darrell Henderson, or Le'Veon Bell. In a full PPR flex spot, Chris asks, I will go with Allen Robinson. Half PPR, Gus Edwards, Michael P. Ryan, Sterling Shepard. Pick two of them. I will go with Michael P. Ryan and Sterling Shepard. Tyler Boyd or Jonathan Taylor in the flex for a full PPR. In a full PPR, I will go with Tyler Boyd. I would also go Boyd in a half PPR. If it's a standard, I'll go Jonathan Taylor. Half PPR, Chris Carson or Justin Jackson. I can't trust Chris Carson, so I'm going to play Justin Jackson. John Brown or Devontae Parker. I will still play Devontae Parker in that situation. I do like John Brown, though, as a boomer bust wide receiver, or as a high upside wide receiver 3 play. Swift or Melvin Gordon. With Melvin Gordon back in the lineup, I'm not really keen on trusting him, or with Philip Lindsay back in the lineup, not really keen on trusting Melvin Gordon, so I'll go with DeAndre Swift there. Tough matchup, though. You're going to need him to be heavily involved as a receiver out of the backfield. Andrew asks, choose one of these gross running backs to start in full PPR between Justin Jackson, Damian Harris, James White, or Tevin Coleman. In a full PPR, I'm still going to start Justin Jackson here. Not crazy about the matchup, but he should see enough work out of the backfield. Hopefully he's back a little bit healthier than he was last week, so hopefully that makes a difference here. James White would be the one that I would consider next, but I don't really know if you can trust this offense. James White, of course, can get back to seeing 8 targets, but after what we saw last week with Cam Newton just looking terrible, then, man, I think you got to go Justin Jackson. Full PPR, Zeke or Justin Jackson. That's the situation where I will still start Ezekiel Elliott. Half PPR, Ronald Jones or Henderson. I will play Henderson, like the matchup for him, and I think he's going to see a ton of work. Pick 3, Boston Scott, Dalvin Cook, Josh Jacobs, Leonard Fournette. I will go Scott, Cook, and Jacobs. All are top 12 options for me. Leonard Fournette is slides in at running back 24 in my rankings. Michael P. Ryan or JaMychal Hasty. I will go with LaMichael P. Ryan. Devontae Parker or Jarvis Landry. I'm going to go Jarvis Landry there. Gaskin, Montgomery, or Bernard. I will go with Giovanni Bernard. James Conner or James White. I will go with James Conner there. Flex 1, Zach Moss, Philip Lindsay, or Jonnu Smith. In that situation, I will flex Jonnu Smith. Leonard Fournette versus Myles Gaskin. Play Gaskin there. Full PPR, I need 2 of them. Allen Robinson, Jalen Reagor, or Cole Beasley. I will play Robinson and Reagor. AJ Green, Robert Woods, or Deontay Johnson. I'll play Deontay Johnson. Justin Jefferson or Amari Cooper. I'll still play Justin Jefferson there, even with the weather concerns. I still think that he is involved enough in this better offense than in Dallas. Giovanni Bernard or Zeke in a standard league. Got to go Giovanni Bernard. JaMychal Hasty or Devin Singletary in a full PPR. Gross. I will play Singletary there, but I'm not crazy about that one. Both are like low-end running back 3s for me. Tannehill or Herbert. I will play Herbert. Boston Scott or Jamal Williams. I will play Williams. Woods, Mike Evans. So Robert Woods, Mike Evans, or Tyler Boyd in a full PPR. I will play Mike Evans here for the ceiling. If I want just like the safe volume, then I'll go with Tyler Boyd. Nelson Aguilar or Marvin Jones Jr. I'll still play Aguilar in that situation. Dobbins or Joshua Kelly. I will play J.K. Dobbins. Justin Jackson or Melvin Gordon. I will play Melvin Gordon there. Allen Robinson or Zeke in a full PPR. I will go with Allen Robinson. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Fulgham, or A.J. Brown. Pick 2 of them. Oh, man. I will go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and A.J. Brown. It'd be very difficult to sit Travis Fulgham after I've been talking him up, but in that situation where I've got Brown at wide receiver 6 and I've got CEH at running back 8, I think, then I will play those two. Fulgham just falls outside my top 12 wide receivers. Melvin Gordon or Leonard Fournette. I will play Gordon here still. Excuse me. I'll still play Gordon there, but if it's a standard league, let me do this. If it's a standard league, I'll play Gordon. If it's a half PPR or full PPR, I'll play Leonard Fournette. Justin Jackson or Fournette. Excuse me. What's going on? I will play Justin Jackson. Justin Jefferson or Allen Robinson in a standard league, I'll play Robinson. Wentz or Burrow, I'll play Wentz. J.K. Dobbins, Damian Harris, or Zach Moss, I will play Dobbins. Corey Davis or Scotty Miller, I'll play Scotty Miller. Brady or Tannehill, I will play Brady. Goddard or Jonnu Smith, I will play Jonnu Smith. James Conner or Deontay Johnson, I will play Deontay Johnson. Half PPR pick 2, Allen Robinson, Travis Fulgham, or Deontay Johnson. Man, all are like high-end wide receiver 2s in my rankings. So personally, I would be playing Allen Robinson and Travis Fulgham, and I'll sit Deontay Johnson in that situation. Would be tough to do. All are solid options. Pick 1 in a full PPR, Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, or DeAndre Swift. I will play Justin Jefferson still. With the weather concerns in both games, I think you can, if it was just the weather concerns in the Green Bay Minnesota game, then I would say go with T. Higgins, but we do have some concerns in the Cincinnati and Tennessee game, so I'll go with Higgins. Or I'll go with Jefferson still. Half PPR, sit 1, David Montgomery, Ezekiel Elliott, James Conner, Giovanni Bernard. Thank you for all that you do. My pleasure. I did work at Chick-fil-A, if you couldn't tell. I will go with Giovanni Bernard, or sitting 1, excuse me. I'll sit Ezekiel Elliott in that situation. I'll go out on that limb. You can all yell at me if you want afterwards, but I'm sitting Ezekiel Elliott in that situation. Zeke or Melvin, I will go with Ezekiel Elliott in that situation, but they're back-to-back in my rankings. PPR, J.K. Dobbins or Sterling Shepard. I am fine going with Dobbins in that situation. I think that he's not going to be heavily involved out of the backfield as a receiver, but yet I think that he'll see enough work. And Sterling Shepard has a very tough matchup. All right, guys, that is it for today. Kickoff is about to happen. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. Before you head out, if you enjoyed having the opportunity to have your questions answered, please hit the subscribe button. Again, helps us out in a huge way. Hit the like button on this video. Find and follow me on Twitter at KyleYNFL. Best of luck in all of your fantasy football matchups this week. I know that setting some of these lineups has to be like torture because it was torturous for me this morning with some of the players that I'm rolling in. But guys, we're all in it together. Again, let's head over to Twitter and connect with me. We can commiserate together. All right, guys, best of luck. Enjoy your football, and we'll talk to you soon.